This is your USMNT Abroad weekend update from May 1st to May 3rd of 2026. Hello. If you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV. And welcome to the US Men's National Team Abroad series, where every single Monday we update you on how the Yanks did abroad over the weekend. Now, before we start, I want to shout out a player in a club because I won't be talking about him throughout the episode, and that is Gianluca Busio and Venezia, because Venezia got promoted to the Serie A, which means Busio got promoted because he's one of the best players at Venezia right now, and he will be playing in a top 5 league next season in the first division of Italy. So congratulations to Venezia, congratulations to Busio, which happens to be a better player than Christian Roldan, but guess who's going to make it to the World Cup?
Yeah, it's Roldan.
Also, a massive shout out to the Pokemon scalpers. Thanks to you, and probably none of you are watching this episode because you're busy scalping, I was not able to buy my Kanto jacket at Target this weekend. So they started by scalping all the Pokemon cards. You can't buy Pokemon cards anymore, right? At least not at the stores. And then now they're taking Pokemon jackets and kids merchandise as well. I have never seen so many 40-year-old unemployed-looking motherlickers camping out of Target, Walmart, not GameStop. They don't do that for GameStop. And you may be saying, but you look like you're unemployed, and I do not. I look like Tom Cruise. But you know what? Drop a like in this video if you haven't already, and let me know in the comment section down below which is the rarest Pokemon card that you own. All right, let's roll the intro and start the recap. Okay, first and foremost, let's go to Italy and talk about the Americans in the Serie A. The first one being Christian Pulisic from Milan. And on Sunday, Pulisic started off the bench and was subbed in the 60th minute for Milan during their 2-0 loss to Sassuolo. So clearly he wasn't the problem in the previous games. And understand, the issue here is not Christian Pulisic being benched, because he was benched, right? He's not injured, he's not being rested, he was benched, at least for this game. It's also not his performance. When he was subbed in, they were down 2-0. They were playing man down. This game on its own doesn't really matter. The problem is Christian Pulisic started the season on fire. He was actually on track to have the best season of his career. For the first half of this season, he had 15 games played, 10 goals scored, and 2 assists. That is pretty damn good. Now for the second half of this season, right now he has 17 games played and only 1 assist. Nothing else. And Christian Pulisic is a streaky player, so this worries me quite a bit. Like, this bad form can drag for a very long time, and we kind of need him to snap out of it as soon as possible, like within 30 days. I don't know if you heard, but the US Men's National Team has a very important event this summer. And as I said, Christian Pulisic is a streaky player, and if he doesn't snap out of this bad streak, it can drag on through the entire World Cup. Now, this is a topic that I have a lot of thoughts. There's Allegri comments calling Pulisic sensitive. There's his time with Chelsea, his current season with Milan, the summer that he rested, in the World Cup, and a future outlook for Christian Pulisic. That's too much for this video. If you want me to make a specific video about Christian Pulisic, let us know in the comment section down below. If enough people request, I'll release a video on Christian Pulisic this week on Wednesday or Thursday, depending on how many people let us know in the comment section that they want it. So if you do, just comment right now and drop a like in the video if you haven't already. Now let's talk about Yunus Musa from Atalanta. And on Saturday, Musa started off the bench and he was subbed in the 85th minute for Atalanta during their 0-0 draw with Genoa. Last but not least, we have Weston McKennie from Juventus. And on Sunday, McKennie started and played the full 90 minutes for Juve during their 1-1 draw with Verona. And McKennie was steady and reliable once again. He played his role. He probably should have had an assist this game, as he did a good job setting up his teammates. I don't know. I don't have anything bad to say about his performance. He has been great pretty much every game this season, with some very rare exceptions. He's been one of the best Americans abroad this season alongside Balogun. Now we can leave Italy and go to England so we can talk about the Americans in the Premier League. The first two being Chris Richards from Crystal Palace and Tyler Adams from Bournemouth, because they clashed over the weekend. And on Sunday, Tyler Adams started and played 69 minutes. Nice. For Bournemouth during their 3-0 win over Crystal Palace. Now, Crystal Palace was resting many of their starters because they have the Europa Conference League semifinals this midweek. That is why Chris Richards started off the bench and wasn't subbed into the 76th minute. And honestly, Richards was going to rest the entire game. he was only subbed in because one of their center backs got injured. Now, Tyler Adams got his first ever start ever since he returned from injury, and he looked really good. On the ball, he was great. I don't remember him making a single mistake, and even helped set up his teammates and create a few chances. And defensively, he was rock solid, helping them hold a clean sheet. He was great once again. Next up, we have A-Rob from Fulham. And on Saturday, Anthony Robinson started and played the full 90 minutes for Fulham during their 3-0 loss to Arsenal. And honestly, he did not have a good game. Neither did Fulham, but A-Rob also wasn't good. He didn't really offer anything going forward, in my opinion. He was actually quite poor on the ball, and defensively, he struggled quite a bit. Saka was a big problem for A-Rob and Fulham in this game. The second goal that Arsenal scored was mostly on Anthony Robinson. He completely lost Saka, and I mean, just Saka was giving A-Rob a very hard time, mainly in the first half. My overall point, A-Rob struggled. He was coming off the bench in previous games until Sessegnon got injured. Now he started, but he didn't look good. Next up, we have Brendan Aronson from Leeds. And on Friday, Aronson started off the bench and was subbed in the 72nd minute for Leeds during their 3-1 win over Burnley. Oh, and one important side note here, because there was this concern when the season started. Leeds is not going to get relegated, okay? They're not mathematically safe, but if you look at the table, the teams they play and the other teams that are down on the table play, and the point differential, Leeds are not going to get relegated. They're staying in the Premier League. Time to go to Germany and talk about the Americans in the Bundesliga. The first one being Malik Tillman from Leverkusen. And on Saturday, Tillman started off the bench and he was subbed in the 85th minute for Leverkusen during their 4-1 win over Leipzig. Now, we talked about this last week. Tillman has been benched for the entire month of April. His minutes have tanked hard. And in terms of this season, it wasn't very good. But again, it was his first year back in the Bundesliga, so let's not overreact. And I'm not overreacting to it. I'm just calling a spade a spade. His season was very meh, especially for the amount of money they paid for him. He was technically the Florian Wirtz replacement, but it didn't go that well. And he has been benched for the entire month of April. Actually, we are already in May and he's still benched. He's going to end the season on the bench. Hopefully he bounces back next season. But what truly matters is that he does well in the World Cup. And hopefully that happens. Next in Germany, we have Joe Scally and Gio Reyna from Borussia Mönchengladbach and Mathis Albert from Borussia Dortmund because they clashed over the weekend. And on Sunday, Joe Scally started and played the full 90 minutes for Gladbach during their 1-0 win over Dortmund. Now, Scally actually played very well on and off the ball. He hit a shot on target, he won 80% of his ground duels, he completed 3 dribbles and played as a left wingback or left back, whatever you want to call it. He played on the left side of the field. And as for Gio Reyna, he came off the bench against his former club around the 69th minute. Nice. And Gio was playing super deep when it comes to his positioning and mostly playing it safe. He was somewhat, kind of involved in the goal that they scored. He helped them recover the ball in the midfield for a quick transition that ended up being the goal for Borussia Mönchengladbach. So he was sort of involved, and Gio was okay, but Joe Scally was actually quite good. And Mathis Albert, he stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Borussia Dortmund after making his debut last weekend. Now, last but not least, I would have talked about Noah Kai Banks. I don't see the point. It doesn't seem like this guy wants to play for the US men's national team. And on top of that, ever since he politely declined the USMNT March camp call-up, he has gotten 0 minutes for Augsburg. They played 4 games in the Bundesliga, and he hasn't played at all. So now let's go to Spain and talk about the Americans in La Liga. The first one being Johnny Cardoso from Atletico Madrid. And Johnny actually stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes this weekend for Atletico Madrid because they rested most of their starters because they have a pretty big game in the midweek. They play Arsenal for the Champions League semifinal. So Johnny will start against Arsenal, and over the weekend, he stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes. So let's talk about the other American in La Liga, Alex Freeman from Villarreal. Okay. And on Saturday, Alex Freeman started once again and he played the full 90 minutes for Villarreal during their 5-1 win over Levante. This was his second consecutive start and honestly, his second consecutive very good performance. Defensively, he was great. And on the ball, he was solid. Good enough, shall I say. I was definitely wrong about this guy because I was very uncertain. I watched him play for Orlando City a lot and I wasn't sure if Alex Freeman could actually do well in La Liga ever. Right? I'm not talking about now, ever. I thought he was going to go there, develop, and then in the future have to move elsewhere. But the first impression that I'm getting of him in La Liga is that he could actually be very successful there over the long run, because he already looks like he belongs. No, seriously, he does not look out of place, which I am actually quite impressed and very happy. I love it when I'm wrong about the player and he becomes very good in a very good club, in a very good league. Now we're going to go to France and talk about the Americans in Ligue 1. The first one being forwarding Balogun from Monaco. And on Saturday, Balogun started and played the full 90 minutes for Monaco during their 2-1 win over Metz. The one from France and not the one from New York. So a couple things here. One, Balogun was not that involved in the game, but Balogun ain't a player that needs to be heavily involved to be effective. He scored a beautiful goal for Monaco to tie the game and lead their comeback win. It was a very nice shot that he hit with his right foot close to the edge of the box with two defenders on him. The space was very tight, and that was a shot that honestly no goalkeeper could have saved. His scoreless streak lasted one game. And what's interesting here is that Balogun had a slow start to the season, and now with 2 games to go, he has 19 goals scored and 5 assists. Not bad. Still in France, we have Tim Weah from Olympique Marseille. Now, Tim Weah was not available for Marseille this weekend because he was suspended due to yellow card accumulation. And honestly, that was a great game for him to miss. Olympique Marseille lost 3-0 to Nantes, which, if I'm not mistaken, they're the second worst team in the league. Now, Tenor Tessman from Lyon, he was not available for them as well, but he was not suspended, and I didn't see any reports of an injury, but it's odd that he wasn't available. Let's hope everything's all right. Mangala is injured, so Tessman was actually expected to start for Lyon, but he wasn't even available. And as I'm recording this, I do not know the reason. I wasn't able to find out what the reason is. So if you do find out the reason, or it comes out Monday morning because we record this Sunday night, let us know in the comment section down below. Last but not least, in France, we have Marc Mackenzie from Toulouse. And on Sunday, Mackenzie started and played the full 90 minutes for Toulouse during their 2-1 win over Strasbourg. Time to leave France and go to the Netherlands so we can talk about the Americans that play for PSV. More specifically, Ricardo Pepi and Serginho Dest. And on Saturday, Ricardo Pepi started and played 72 minutes for PSV during their 2-2 draw with Ajax. As for Serginho Dest, he was back from his hamstring injury, right on time for the World Cup. He came off the bench and he played 30 minutes, and honestly, he looked fine. He looked sharp on the ball, he looked healthy, which is what matters. But how did Ricardo Pepi do? Pepi scored a header less than 1 minute into the game. The ball was kind of like bouncing around in the box, and then the Ajax defense couldn't really clear it, so Pepi was there, and he scored with his head once again. He scored 3 headers over the past 3 games, and the Dutch are simply amazed. They can't believe it. They're saying right now, the rumors in that country, that Ricardo Pepi has the best head game in the Eredivisie. Now, besides the goal that he scored in the very first minute of this game, Ricardo Pepi didn't really do much throughout the match. But that's fine. He's there to score goals, and he scored 1 goal. And he's very similar to Balogun in that sense. They have a very different style of play, and I think Balogun's a better player. But Pepi, just like Balogun, is a player that doesn't really need many touches, or he doesn't really need to be very much involved in the game to have a big impact. Look at it this way. Pepi has 1,200 minutes in the Eredivisie this season, okay? And he has scored 14 goals. He's pretty much averaging 1 goal every 90 minutes, which is 1 goal per game. Now let's go to England and talk about the Americans in the EFL Championship, the 2nd division of England, because the league is done. Now they're going to go to the playoffs. So let's start with Haji Wright from Coventry. And on Saturday, Haji Wright started off the bench and was subbed in the 79th minute for Coventry during their 4-0 win over Watford. Now, Coventry won the league. Haji has no more games left, and we're still over a month away from the World Cup, so he has to find a way to stay fit and match sharp. Yeah, this is what sucks. I wish Haji had 2 or 3 more games, because it's still May 3rd, or his last game was May 2nd. The first World Cup game is what, June 14th, and we have a friendly, I think, May 31st or June 1st. So he has a whole month where he will have like no competitive games. Regardless, congratulations to Haji Wright and Coventry for getting promoted to the Premier League. Next up, we have Aidan Morris from Middlesbrough. And on Saturday, Morris started and played the full 90 minutes for Middlesbrough during their 2-2 draw with Wrexham. Now, Middlesbrough will head to the EFL Championship playoffs to fight for a spot in the Premier League. As for Wrexham, they were 1 position away from making it to the playoffs, which honestly, it was a pretty good and honorable first season in the EFL Championship, and next year, I expect them to get promoted. Because truly, Wrexham just had to survive this year. And they didn't just survive, they actually did well. They almost went to the playoffs. Next year, if they invest more money, which Ryan Reynolds and Rob very likely will, they can easily fight for a spot in the Premier League. Alright everyone, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like right now. Just do it before you go because it helps the channel quite a bit. And let us know in the comment section down below if you want me to make a Christian Pulisic video this week. Thank you very much for watching everyone and have a great day.